There we go. It's like we act like somebody tased us.
And I'm Ken Melvoin-Berg. Wait, am I too early?
Yeah, you're totally.
But I did it this time, and I beat you.
You did.
I beat you to it.
Welcome, everyone, to American Sex Live, where you see us every single Wednesday night. I'm Sunny Megatron.
Already said it.
He's Ken Melvoin-Berg. We're sexuality educators, pleasure advocates, and kinky perverts, too. We're also married, and we're hilarious.
We are.
I mean, that's, I guess, subjective, but I think we are.
Well, I figured out the kind of dad I am today by watching Mike Tyson's Mystery Adventures.
Yeah?
Because he's the same kind of dad. So he said, so the two kids are going towards their room with soda. He's like, don't take that into your room. You're going to get ants. And then they put it on the table. And then 1 second later, he yells at them, bring those sodas into your room. We're going to get ants here on the table. Like, it's like,
oh.
I'm inconsistent.
Yeah. I have a good joke.
What?
What do you call dominants who live in Indiana? Y'all know.
Who's your master?
Who's your daddy? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, hi everyone. So before I know. Tonight is part 2 of BDSM's most frequently asked questions, because we only got to a few questions last time, and we got so deep into like the theory and the, it was a really good conversation. But we have 80 gazillion more. Like, we could probably do BDSM facts every week for the rest of the year. We have so many questions.
No, we couldn't.
Anyway, no, I'm exaggerating for a fact. Just go with it. You're ruining my illusion. Just shh. Anyway, so before we get to our topic tonight, we are going to do what we always do. We so lovingly wash the balls, as we at American Sex call housekeeping. So as y'all know, if you're new here, this is American Sex Podcast Live, but the regular American Sex Podcast drops every single Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those places. And we are now on Amazon Music, which is... We
are?
Yeah. I take care of business.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Mama takes
Who's your daddy?
You are. You're my
Who's
daddy.
your podcast daddy?
You're my daddy.
Anyway, and the content you hear there is different content than what we do on our...
I hear?
No. Different than now. Here. You're throwing off my poopy-doo, whatever the word is.
Poopy?
My poopy-doo. You're throwing off my poopy-doo. You're making my brain constipated. So a couple quick things.
No.
There are slots here that I'm going to unlock in a little while. So during our conversation, you can pop on, ask questions, become a part of the conversation. Couple things I ask. Hi, Jane.
Did you say slots with an O or with a U?
Slots. Couple things I ask. One, be aware that if you come on camera, you will also be simulcast on Periscope, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. And we may also repurpose this content for other things in the future. So just be aware of that. And 2, I ask, while the regular show is going on, if you pop on screen, please make your questions quick. If you want to hang out, we can do that in the after party. Make your questions quick so we can get to different people and different subjects during our hour. So what's this simulcast business? All right, listen to this. So yes, Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube Live are all watching this. A few weeks ago, we had 5,000 people watching on Periscope. I think we got on a front page. Like, normally you don't have that many people. And we have like, I want to say...
Nick is on.
Hey, Nick!
Nick!
I want to say we average like, 1,200 maybe. But anyway, if you're on those simulcast stations, you're welcome to stay there. However, you don't get the benefits of the folks here on the Get Vocal platform. As I said, you can come and pop on screen and ask questions, but you can only do that if you're over here on Get Vocal. Also, if you're typing in the chat on Facebook or whatever, that's great. You can talk with the people there, but we won't see your comments and questions. So again, reason to come on over to Get Vocal. Third reason to come on over to Get Vocal is at 9 o'clock Pacific, when this show shuts down, we don't go away. We may turn off the recording and turn off the simulcast, but we hang out, and that's when shit gets a little weird. So I implore you to come on over to Get Vocal. Wherever you're watching, you should be able to look right above, and there'll be a link right there. Hit that, come over to Get Vocal. If you don't see a link for some reason, it's bit.ly, bit.ly, ASP for American Sex Podcast, stream, ASP stream.
As Peace Stream. And big shout out to Nick. It's good to see you back, man. Nick and Kyle are two people helping take care of the fires in Northern California. And like, I'm surprised he has time off at all. It's great to see you, buddy.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Good to see
Thank you.
All right. So we are part of the Wednesday night lineup here on Get Vocal called the Connection Zone. It's like 4 or 5 hours of simultaneous shows about sex, dating, relationships, etc. So if you're tuning in right now, next week, tune in a little bit early and see what else is here. Also, if you're on the Get Vocal platform, you're going to see next to in your little chat box a little blue diamond. Those are V coins. You can give us V coins. You can give us a little tip. And by the way, if you subscribe to our channel with that bit.ly ASP stream link, it's a special link that gives you 100. It gives you 100 free V coins that you can give to us. I'm just saying. So if you're not already subscribed, that is a reason to subscribe right there. And if you really like what we do and you want to give us more than just the tip, you can join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/AmericanSex, and you get stuff. I'll send you stickers in the mail. You get bonus broadcasts, all sorts of different
things. Nick just gave us the tip.
Yay!
Just to see how it feels.
And Get Vocal. Nick and Get Vocal gave us a tip at the same time. Kinky.
TP.
Okay, so what else do I want to tell you? Oh, last thing. This is going to be a good conversation. So please, share it with your friends. If you're in the Get Vocal chat, if you go to the top of the chat when we went live, links came on the chat, and just copy those links or click on those. You can share it. So go ahead and do that. Last thing, I'm going to paste in the chat a bunch of different links. And I don't even remember what they are. So look, our Patreon, our free kinky Discord community that we'd love for you to join. Our BDSM 101 archive broadcast that if you're new to BDSM, that will be helpful for you to watch. A couple of sale links and discount links to Stockroom that has, in my opinion, the best BDSM gear out there. Also the bit.ly ASP stream. Oh, I gave the wrong thing, didn't I? Yeah, my TikTok is supposed to be there, but I have ASP stream. I'm on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, follow me. I'm Sunny Megatron. Easy to find.
Funny Megatron?
And Sunny Megatron.
Funny
and
Megatron.
Ken has been doing online gaming on Twitch every week. I am part of his Tuesday night game, and we have the link to his Twitch channel. We'd love for you to come watch. It is fucking fun, and he gears it towards beginners. So if you haven't played Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or like Call of Cthulhu, any of those tabletop games, and you're like, I'm curious, I want to try, these streams are great to watch because a lot of the players, it's the first time, and he stops and explains and all that stuff. So yeah.
And we have a new game starting up, so I'm looking for some new players. Probably it's going to be for a Sunday game. When we have something a little bit more solid, we'll let you know. But I want to get some people that haven't played yet. We're going to get those folks first.
Yep. Hey, Ruben and Cherry.
Hi, Ruben and Cherry.
All right. So I think we're good to go. I feel like I forgot something. It seems like more and more with the ball washing, stuff gets added on to the ball washing. More and more and more. But I think I got everything. If not, I'll just. These balls are clean. Balls are clean. Let's get on with the BDSM talk, shall we? Okay, y'all. Here's what we covered last time. I'll catch you up. Some of the questions we got to.
American Sex Live.
Last time on American Sex Live. What is BDSM? Wait, what is BDSM, and is role play in the acronym? We answered the question, what is power exchange? We talked about who holds the power in a DS relationship, the dom or the sub. We explained kink versus fetish and discussed that. We defined what is sex, which is really subjective. So I don't think we ever actually defined it because there is no one definition. And how does that relate to BDSM? We talked about, is BDSM a sexual orientation? And making time for kink when life gets in the way. If any of those topics interest you, go on our Get Vocal page and go to the archives and go ahead and watch last week's show at your convenience, and you can see all the discussion around those questions. So, new set of questions. Feel free to jump in the chat and ask us some, and in just a few minutes, I'll unlock the slot so you can pop on camera. The first one we get a lot, is, what do I do if I'm into a fetish that my partner isn't into? How do we handle that? So my recommendation is any kind of fetish, right? Whether it's, you like to fuck the legs of chairs, or you like clown sex, or you're into puppy play, or whatever it is, right? A lot of people freak out. They're like, that is the weirdest thing. Like, oh, why? But when you boil your fetishes down to their lowest common denominator, all of us, no matter the weird stuff we're into, like waffles and pillows, I don't know, why are you so weird? You can't sit there. Do you have a crushing fetish? What's going on? Anyway, ow, his paws are in my butt crack. That is not consensual.
That is not a place
no.
for pause.
Okay, so whatever. Yeah.
I'm totally gonna throw off your road by asking.
Yeah,
this.
I'm just was in the middle of a sentence.
So a lot of times when we talk about these things, we assume that these are psychological objections. What about, have you ever addressed anything with a physical issue, like if, say, I had a latex allergy and my partner was into latex? So
we can get there. We'll get there. Let me just finish this first. Okay. So when you boil down your fetishes to the lowest common denominator, a lot of us are really after the same things. We are looking for connection. We are looking for validation. Maybe we want some sort of humiliation or to explore our shame. There's a very small set of core things that we're after. So if that's the case, I'm going to give you just a random example. Let's say your partner is into age play. And for you, that's a hard limit. There's one thing I strongly encourage people to do. I am not going to tell you that you are not allowed to have a boundary. You are absolutely allowed to have a boundary. You are absolutely allowed to be like, this is not for me. It's a hard limit. However, on the same token, I encourage you to explore why things are boundaries. Because, hold on, hold on, my brain just, I encourage you to explore why things are boundaries, because a lot of times, because of the misconceptions we have about BDSM and the things that the media and the world has told us is gross and weird, sometimes we have a knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, no, that's weird. I'm never doing it. And I encourage you to explore, is that a genuine boundary? Or is that just, you've always been told to go, ew, and turn up your nose at it, and you've never actually really thought deeply about it or considered it? So I encourage you to do that self-exploration. With that said, if your boundary is still a boundary, right? You're like, I did that. I considered it. I tried to think about it in a balanced way. I'm still like, nope, I am not doing it. So let's say it's age play, and you're like, that's a boundary. I don't want to do that. Talk to your partner, have a conversation. When you are doing age play, that role play, what are you trying to feel? What are you trying to get out of it? And if they say, well, I want to feel, a sense of freedom from responsibilities. I want to feel that I can act silly without being judged. I want also a little discipline. I want someone to, make the decisions for me, or be like, don't do that, or scold me a little bit. Well, okay, take those things. What other role play can you overlay on that? Maybe it's pet play, just for an example. Maybe it's some kind of, service play, that sort of thing. So when you have fetishes that truly don't line up, I encourage you to do that. So, all right, latex allergy.
No, real quick, look what Jane has, because that's very compelling. Talk about
Do you want me to talk about latex allergy
first?
I want you to talk about. So race play. I actually, I'm really getting into the kink talk community on TikTok, and somebody brought this up, and unfortunately you only have 150 characters to answer questions, which is we did talk about this when we had Marla Renee Stewart and Luna Matatas on our live stream about a month and a half ago. I really encourage you to go back and listen to that conversation, because we talk a lot about race play. It's all about race and kink. When it comes to race play, first you have to think about what kind of race play. I mean, you can have a combination of a bunch of different races. However, when we hear race play, we tend to assume it's black-white, right? And let's just use that as an example, because it's the most glaring and also I think the most I'm not going to say the most problematic, but the most high-profile problematic combination. I'm just looking at the comments here. Okay. So I question any white person who wants to engage in race play that is playing the dominant. That's not to say you can't have a black-white situation where the black person is the dominant, right? I encourage that person to really do some self-analysis, to really think about why do they want to role play this. Oftentimes, we role play our traumas. Kink can be therapeutic. It is not therapy, but it can be very therapeutic. And people who have oppressed identities, so whether you're a woman, queer, black, whatever it is, a lot of those people will sometimes explore their oppression through their kinky role play. So if you are a black person who wants to explore those feelings of oppression and shame and whatnot through your race play, I am not going to judge you. That, if you feel that that is a good thing for you to do and it is helping you, awesome. With that said, if it's a black-white scenario and the white person is a dominant, in my opinion, I think it's going to be really hard to find a white person who has done the anti-racism and anti-oppression work enough and who can actually understand that to play that other role. Especially if that white person is playing that other role for more of a self-serving purpose. Like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to call you the N-word, and that's going to be, rather than I am doing this for you so you can explore your own oppression and traumas. So it's very nuanced and it's very complicated. Unfortunately, we can't play God, or, I don't believe in God, play science. I don't know, science judge. We can't beat science judge Judy, right? And
what the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I'm not trying to come up with the atheist version of playing God.
Judy is the least scientific
I don't know.
I can think of.
I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, other than the president.
Anyway, but, as people who are onlookers in other people's scenes, or just, that know about certain people's dynamics, we can't sit there and say, oh, you're doing this race play scene for the right reasons and you've done your homework and you are, versus you're just a fucking asshole. Like, we don't get to do that, and we're not privy to that kind of inside knowledge. So it's really hard.
So I have a question for the regular everyday person. How do you get to the point where you're not having to take a college course to do a race play scene?
I can't give you an answer. But it's
like for Jane, for example, Jane, I don't know. I think you're a switch, but I don't know if you're like totally sub or totally dom. But if Jane was interested and she's the black woman in this instance, she wants to be submissive. How is she going to get that fulfilled?
I would think that would be up to her to, know her partner enough to be her own judge. If she is satisfied enough to know, I think this person is,
helpful and not harmful.
Exactly.
In a permanent basis.
Yeah.
Is kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Because before, I didn't know if should they be taking a course? Is there a person they should talk to when you say they have to do the work?
I mean,
is it a matter of reading White Fragility? There's
a lots of different, and again, it depends. It's individual.
There's lots of start.
I have a bunch of different links, and I can't remember them offhand.
Can we get them next week?
Yeah, I have them in. We did a few podcasts around June when things are really coming to a head here.
Yeah.
And for a number of consecutive weeks, I had a whole block of anti-racism resources. So if you want to go to americansexpodcast.com, go back to episodes around May, June, when things really started becoming a shit show, and look in the links in the show notes, and they'll be there. Is that helpful? I mean, it's a very you
kind of answered my main question.
Yeah, it's a very nuanced situation. The thing is, with race play, we need to be careful. Even if we are doing it for the right reasons, and I don't fall in line with people that say it's always wrong. because if it is the person of color choosing to do it and they're doing it in a therapeutic way and it's helping them, that's not wrong, you know? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, we have a responsibility to not harm other people when we're doing these scenes. So if you're doing it in a public, like in a dungeon, everybody watching this is being affected by what you're doing. I would really think twice about doing this in a public area. You know, if you're putting pictures on FetLife or even talking about it on FetLife or social media or wherever, you know, putting pictures on your OnlyFans or I don't know, to me, that's irresponsible. You know, you have to be really careful about how you present this stuff because, you know, how are other people going to see it? Are they going to take it as flippant and that you haven't done the work? So that's another component. Let's see. I'm just looking at Oh, Rachel put a link to some race play stuff and race stuff. So perfect. I like the book, How to Not Be a Total Douchebag, and recommend it from time to time to certain people that may benefit from it. Cool. Not the douchey kind. Let's see. NRE is taking Nick away from us. I didn't want to think it would be self-serving, but hearing someone else say it has just clarified it for me. I'm glad that answer helped you. And by no means, I just want to throw this out here, I am not an expert on race play. This is my own opinion. I strongly encourage you to look up some of the work of Melina Williams-Haas. She is like the person who talks about race play and talks about being a Black woman who's a slave. And she was on our TV show and talked about race play on our TV show. And she's really one of the few, if not only people I trust to speak to this subject and do it justice. So I encourage Melina. I've never had any kind of sex or BDSM. How do I find a partner? There's a lot of work, you know, it's not as easy as like, I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to find somebody, you know, and again, this is very individual to your situation, which I don't know. Like I would need to sit down and do a coaching session with you to find out exactly, you know, but a couple quick generic points is, you know, become a part of a community, whether it's a kink community, whether it's a gaming community, whether it's I don't even know, like needlepoint, whatever, you know, get to know people. If it's a kink, get to know your kink, like show people that let's say you're submissive, you know, random. I don't know if that's true, but just random, for example's sake, you know, show them, learn. So when you start talking to people, you can show them through your conversation and your actions and getting to know them that you know what you're doing. You would be a trustworthy submissive. You have some kind of knowledge, you know? And I know that's not an easy answer, and it's kind of a long burn, you know, in the long game, but that's what I would suggest. All right. So
also Vic, things have changed so dramatically in the time of COVID. If this is something, if you are of age and you're interested in starting off with this, there are a lot of online classes available, like Kink Academy is an excellent place.
Yeah, bit.ly/Kink Academy, and we also get a little bonus if you join.
But in addition to that, like if this is something that, so you're in your mid-20s, if you have the financial means, seeing a professional dominant might be a good first way to go, because they not only do like apply whatever you want to your particular kink, but most of them are also educators that will teach you how and what BDSM feels like in a professional setting. And oftentimes, like as a beginner, that's a great way to do it. That's how I started, was by going to professionals to begin with, because I was scared to go to people in my personal life at that point. And I had just, you know, the internet was not out at that point, so it was a little bit easier for me that way. I think right now that also may be a little bit easier.
Yeah, and seeing a professional doesn't mean you just have to go in there and be like, mistress, beat me. And I'm just assuming you're submissive. Maybe you're dominant, right? But as Ken said, a lot of them are also educators. So if you approach them and say, hey, I've never done BDSM before. These are the things I think I'm interested in. can you more, instead of like actually doing a real scene with me, can you sort of give me a lesson, like show me the ropes, pun intended? You know what I mean? I often will recommend this to people. Let's say they already have partners, but they've never done BDSM. I tell them, do like a research and development night where it's not like the first time you're doing bondage and all this stuff. You're like in your sexy lingerie trying to really do it. Go in the living room, wear some sweatpants, just like kind of fuck around with stuff. Like, oh, how does it feel to be spanked? Okay, let me spank you. You spank me. And, you know, so you can get a sampler platter of sort of what the different things are. So then when you're ready to actually really play, you've gotten a taste of some of these little things. Yeah, depending on the area, knowing the community can help a newcomer be safe as well. Yep. And don't think BDSM porn is the way BDSM is. Don't think 50 Shades is the way.
It depends on what company is making the porn, to be honest. If you're like, there's a lot of really great companies out there that are 100% BDSM accurate, and there are some that aren't. The hard part is telling the difference between them. Okay, Vic. Okay, this is what I'm going to tell you. You said you're not even sure if you'd be dominant or submissive, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. So here's what I suggest. I'm going to type a link in here, bit.ly/BDSMYNM. Bit.ly BDSM. Okay, so go to that link. It's a yes, no, maybe list, and it has about 100 different activities. And activities are fun.
Yeah, it has and you can add your own, but it's just like a starter. And next to each activity, you write down like, oh, bondage. Why? Yes, I would love to do that. It interests me. M is maybe, like maybe under the right circumstances. I'm not sure. I got to think about it a little bit more. And then no is like, that's a hard limit. I would never be interested in that. And go ahead and fill out that yes, no, maybe list for you. And oftentimes people will recommend yes, no, maybe lists for couples who are starting to play. And you can't negotiate a scene with somebody.
And the link doesn't work.
Oh, hold on. I'll find it. Hold on. bit.ly/BDSMYNM.
Not even close.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. I'll have to find it. If you Google, I think you can find it on my website. If this, yes, no, maybe. Okay, try that. Hopefully that's it. Anyway, so you can't
even. You have BMSM.
Oh, BDM. bit.ly/BDSMYNM. Okay, now try it. There. Okay, you can't negotiate a scene with another person until you've negotiated yourself. You are the first partner that you negotiate with. So go through that list, and that'll give you an idea of like, this is like my kinky profile. This is sort of who I. All right, I know I'm interested in receiving bondage. It'll have to be on my website. I have to look it up. But you'll know your own profile a little bit more, where your own boundaries are, where your interests are. So then you can take that step with seeking out another person. And maybe that other person is a pro dom who you just tell them, I don't know if I'm a dom or a sub or what. Can we just like play around so I can check some of this stuff out and you can help educate me? Not all pro doms are educators, so that's something you should ask. But that's definitely something that you can do. All right. Yay, Rachel got the link. Oh, perfect. Good. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So let's see.
And what is it?
That's not the short link.
Oh.
All right. So where do I want, what question? There's so many questions. All right, here's a good one because we're getting a little theoretical today. Can I still be a feminist? This is for people who are.
Wait, can you address my other question?
What?
The material thing?
Oh, the latex? Yeah. Okay, so why do you like latex? Is it because you like that tight kind of rubber feeling, or what is it?
The way it looks, the way smells, the way it feels.
Then.
And it can't be substituted for anything else.
Yeah, and if you can't substitute it for anything else, that might be a thing that you can't find. I'm not going to say that every single partner can find a compatibility point. I mean, I'm
not asking really about will I have compatibility? It's, are we approaching how you are compatible with someone the same way that you would if it was just a psychological preference. So, for example,
it depends on the actual instance. Like, could you get creative and wrap the allergic submissive in some other material, so then the latex clad dominant is maybe rubbing all over them? It's sort of fear play, like, this is the thing you're allergic to, but it never touches them. Like, could get creative. Like, it's it's really hard to, like, each individual thing, you just have to like try to think outside the box, and maybe there isn't an answer. Okay. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Okay. All right. Anyway, can I be a feminist? And this is when I say I am the person asking a question is a woman. So can a woman be a feminist and still be a submissive? I hear this question a lot. Like, I'm a feminist. I believe in all these things, equality, and I'm, but in the bedroom, I want some man to belittle me and, make me dinner and do all of the things that in my waking life, in my not fantasy life, are horrible. And I would never stand for it, but I want to do it consensually. Does that make me a horrible person or a bad feminist? No. When you are a feminist, that is about choice, right? You have choice in everything you do. And consent is also at play. You're not saying, I'm a woman and I want a man to really legitimately in real life abuse me. You are playing with that dynamic in a safe container. You've negotiated it and it's consensual. As I was saying before in the race play example, oftentimes, okay, this is a weird thing about the human brain, okay? Things like embarrassment and shame and humiliation and anxiety, like all of those bad negative feelings, we often think are mood killers. Like, that's not sexy. Like, what? However, the brain is weird. Sometimes in some certain situations, our brains eroticize that feeling and it actually turns us on and they become aphrodisiacs. And that's really fucking confusing, especially to people who are more vanilla, who haven't sat and thought deeply about like the psychological aspects of sex, right? And so sometimes that causes us, and I think even myself, like, I made really bad relationship choices with people that were abusive that I shouldn't have been with, but there was a little part of me that kind of liked it. And I wish I would have known about kink, because then I would have known I didn't really have to live it and have all the bad shit that came with it. I could have just role played it and it would have been a lot healthier. So, as I said in the race play discussion, oftentimes we will eroticize and want to explore our oppression in scenes. So that could very well be what you're doing as a submissive woman being dominated by a man and, playing 1950s housewife or whatever. So yes, you can still be a feminist and practice BDSM, and there are a lot of valid reasons why you might do so.
I think Vic's having a little problem trying to figure things out.
Yeah, Vic, if you scroll up, Rachel put a link that's http://sunnymegatron.com, blah, 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 blah. That's it right there. Rachel posted it 5 minutes ago. If you scroll up in the chat, you should be able to get it. And the bit.ly is just a web shortener. She's got the long link, so she's got it. Let's see. Okay, here's another one. And I think this got kind of brought up in the chat. Is 50 Shades a good or bad representation of BDSM? I have thoughts on this.
What was that one? I didn't hear.
Is BDSM a good or bad representation of BDSM? And 50 Shades of Grey. Is it a good representation of BDSM?
That's not what you said.
What did I said 50 Shades.
You said, is BDSM a good representation of BDSM? look at the playback in just a second. That's why I was confused.
Okay,
now I know.
Sorry.
By BDSM, you meant 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, 50 Shades of Grey. A good representation of BDSM.
Hi, Kinky Squirrel. Hi, Maurice. Hi, Ruben and Cherry.
Hi, everyone. No, however, I'm not going to shit talk 50 Shades of Grey. I'm going to tell you why. Yes.
Because fuck J.K. Rowling.
No, that's a whole nother subject. Yes, I will agree with you. You know, it's like it follows the script of Twilight. The writing is shitty. The relationship, if you take out the kinky sex, just the relationship between the two main characters is abusive. Like, he stalks her and he does like all this really bad.
He has a helicopter.
I know. He does all this really bad non-consensual stuff, right? So I will never say that is the right way to do BDSM in real life. It's not. There's a lot of red flags there, not only from a BDSM standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint. However, a lot of people read 50 Shades of Grey, and the shame and the secret fantasies and all of the things about kink that they had hidden inside of them and pushed down came out. It inspired something in people. And if that is what got people to start talking and exploring and learning the right way, awesome. Secondly, how many romance novels, movies, pieces of erotic fiction represent a healthy reality? Not fucking many. But guess what? We still get off on them. We watch these really problematic porn plots, and we know that's not real life, right? But you remember how I was talking just before, can I be a feminist and be submissive to a man and want to be like degraded or treated like a 1950s housewife, right? For some people, there is a part of them that gets off on something that seems abusive. And yes, if Christian Grey were a real human being, we'd be like, you're a motherfucker. Anastasia, get a restraining order. Like, this is not cool. But it's a fantasy. So if we are fantasizing in a consensual, safe container that we are having an abusive relationship with a man, you know, abusive scene, but it's just fantasy. We're just living out that fantasy. It feels abusive. It feels real, but it's not. A lot of people, when they're reading 50 Shades of Grey, they kind of get off on, this is really fucked up. He stalked her, but something in me gets hot about that, even though I logically know it's wrong. So I'm not going to cut down people. You know, it's like mostly women who love 50 Shades of Grey, and Melina Williams always says, the pussy wants what the pussy wants. It's not politically correct. It doesn't always make sense. Oftentimes it's abusive and fucked up if it were happening in real life, but the pussy wants what the pussy wants. And if that is what turns people on, that's what turns them on. I'm not going to shame them for liking that book, because then I'm shaming everything about their sexuality that they just discovered, and they feel like a kid in a candy store and they're so happy. And I'm just not going to do that to people. So that's my 50 Shades of Grey soapbox moment. Let me just look at the.
So Vic had some questions about. Can you pan up a little?
Yeah.
Can guys be injured in milking and CBT play? I'm a cis female, but I just wanted to know how it feels for men. You want to be gentle with it until you know what you're doing. Make sure that you look at an online class. Take a look at some of our archived things, like on prostate milking. You can find some here.
Also, not this past week on the podcast, but the week before, Luna Matatas talked about CBT. It was fucking amazing. Please listen to it. Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on testicles until you know what they can take. Scrotums can take a lot of pressure. Testicles, however, cannot. So the skin itself is very, very like pliable. It's almost like the edge of your ear, like right at the earlobe. It's the same kind of material, so that you can pinch that pretty hard and not really have any feeling to it. But but the testicle on the inside can squish very easily.
Mm-hmm. CBT is cock and ball torment or torture.
Or a chicken bacon tomato sandwich.
Or cognitive behavioral therapy or computer-based training. Let's see. I'm just looking at the comments to see, making sure. Oh, I'm going to open up the slots because I totally forgot to do that. Like I said, if you come on camera right now, you will be broadcast to many, many different channels, and we may repurpose this content on other tube sites and whatever at a later time. So know your face will be there. only come on if you're actually going to ask a question. If you want to just hang out and say hi, wait until the broadcast stops and we're doing the after party. So cool. All right. This is an interesting one, and I kind of want to get both of our opinions. What do you think is the biggest misconception about BDSM? Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think the biggest misconception about BDSM is that there is one type of BDSM and that it has lots of rules. Night, Jane. So what we see in the media is like dominant man, submissive woman, wearing black leather, mean yelling, the submissive must like pain. There's only one flavor of BDSM that you see in the media, and it makes people have the assumption by looking at it that BDSM has a lot of rules. And that's not necessarily true. BDSM, like, you know, just the generic BDSM has definitely some non-negotiable rules, like consent in many things, whether that's, you know, consent in the scene you're doing, consent in the way you approach people, you know, consent, respect, that sort of thing. That's non-negotiable across the board, no matter what flavor of BDSM you play. But when it comes to like submissives always must do this, or dominants must always do that, or those are yours to determine. There may be cultural norms in the community that you belong to, but those aren't across the board rules for everybody all the time. Maybe someone who only plays in the bedroom that doesn't belong to a community doesn't adhere to those rules. Maybe, you know, like us, instead of, you know, wearing black leather and being mean, which we do sometimes, but we also sometimes dress as clowns and we're silly. And like when we did Mommy Dearest and I was Joan Crawford and you were Christina, like that is not the typical BDSM that you see in the meat in 50 Shades of Grey, but it's still BDSM. So, yeah, that's what I think the biggest misconception is. And that we're fucked up too. I think people think we're fucked up. Studies have shown, there's a study in 2013, the International Society of Sexual Medicine or something, and they determined that they examined like the mental profiles of a bunch of kinksters and vanilla people. They determined that not only were kinksters not, you know, generally as a group, not like messed up, that we were actually slightly more mentally well-adjusted than our vanilla counterparts, and that, you know, things like we're better at setting boundaries, we're better at expressing our needs, we're more conscientious. Like
infection control is way better in the BDSM community.
All of those good interpersonal qualities and those like emotionally healthy things, they found that BDSM people tend to have those qualities. So we're not fucked up. So I don't know. What do you think?
I very much echo what Sunny just said. And the only thing that I would just add slightly differently is don't ever feel as though you have to lock yourself into one particular role either. When I started, I was a submissive at first, and I found out I wasn't a good submissive, but I had fun with it in some ways. And there are times when I revisit that submissiveness, and I don't feel I need the label switched. It's not that there's anything bad about that. I'm just more dominant than I am submissive. I'm probably like 90% dominant, 10%.
But you have a little tiny submissive bone in your body every once in a while. Yeah, and I'm like, ooh. Yeah,
I get excited, like, you know, like Aiden, you know, like Aiden Starr. I see her, I get fanboyish, and like, I would love it if, you know, like that would be a fun way to get topped. Is like somebody like Aiden, but like, I think that what I was really trying to get across is not only don't let labels put you down, really take a look at what you're getting out of the relationship you're in and make sure that you cater your DS relationship towards the current relationship that you have. So if you're in a relationship with multiple people, each relationship should be geared towards that individual so that you're giving them the time, the energy, everything that they need, because no two people are the same. Sometimes you're going to have someone that you have a common fetish with. Other times it may be simply some person is dominant and some person is submissive, and you're interacting that way. You may be husband and wife. You may be husband and husband, boyfriend and boyfriend. There could be a variety of different things that we have about the relationship. But you just want to cater it towards each one independently, and then don't lock in too much. And if you're not having something constructive and fun out of it,
It's
Pop Am.
Oh my God! Finish your sentence.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Ultimately, just make sure that you're having, that you want to make sure first and foremost that you're getting something out of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be fun, but it has to be something constructive. Pup Amp, turning it over to you. Dropping my.
Oh, hello.
I concur. Please don't drop my mic. It already fell twice this evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Really good.
I was just watching on YouTube and then saw that there was a new app that I'd never heard of called Get Vocal. So I downloaded it and you were on it. And then I was like, oh, what does this button do? And apparently it turns on everything and puts me in the stream. So I apologize.
No, actually, I'm going to turn this into a shameless self-promotion. For those of you watching the stream that do not know Pup Amp, you are missing out. Go on YouTube and also podcast Watts the Safe Word, WATTS the Safe Word. Fucking amazing.
I didn't expect this. I'm coming on to Get Vocal more often now. No.
Totally. You and I, if you're interested, I will give you the Get Vocal rundown because I was one of like the foremost creators on the app, so I know the drill. So we'll talk.
Okay. Well, we'll have you guys on. I'd love to have you guys on our podcast eventually. What's your safe word? But I wanted to ask a question because I think that's what the point of this was. Besides me just bombarding your chat, I was curious what your opinions or takes on how BDSM or being an open like BDSM lifestyle or whatever you want to call it affects your social media presence and the difficulties that comes with that. Because I know we have our own, but I want to know yours.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw, but it's been 1 week. It is my anniversary. I've been a kink talker for 1 week.
We just did an episode on Kink Talk that's coming out next week. You go first, and then I've got my own tea. Go.
So like that, going on to that app, especially that has a very strict terms of service, just kind of drilled in every problem that I've had on social media talking about what I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, first, apps will shut me down. And I'm talking even sometimes Twitter and, oh God, YouTube. I mean,
how many Twitter accounts have I lost now?
Exactly.
Four fucking Twitter accounts. So
talking about BDSM just as, a BDSM advocate and community member that wants to spread the word is difficult. As a creator who makes a living this way, it's difficult. But also at the same time, aside from all the social media bullshit, people have assumptions about me.
Ooh.
It's like I will get, I don't do anything sexy or titillating on the internet, and that is no slam on anybody who does. It's just not my thing, right? I don't show my boobs. I don't have an OnlyFans, anything like that. And
Sonny's a never nude.
I am a never nude. I take a shower clothed. But I will still get people like in my inbox and, mistress, will you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, am I a pro dom? No, I don't. Huh?
Did they pay you first? Or, I mean.
Exactly. So I will get people assuming that they can talk to me in certain ways. Sometimes it is like, they just assume, like I do sex work or whatever, and that's fine. But then sometimes people who have misconceptions about BDSM and think I'm like the scum of the earth will just send me horrible things. Mm-hmm. But then, it's the last thing, on Snapchat. I did Snapchat a few years ago. And
this is funny.
I would get dick pics like constantly.
I used to get nonstop boobs. I was on some straight, when I had a Snapchat, I would so I got put on some message board, and after that message board, I got nonstop boobs. Like I was on there for the dick and the gay, and I was always real nice. Like, I don't know who you guys are or what message board I was posted on, but I'm gay as fuck. And they were like, oh, that's fine. I just want to see your dick. And I'm like, but I don't want to see your boobs as nice as they are.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's fucking bizarre, but this is funny. So I keep getting these dicks. It's like the gif of the woman with the hot dogs being thrown at her face. That was me, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would just be like, sometimes I just delete, sometimes I talk back, but I never shame people about the size of their penis. Like, I just don't go there. I don't think it's right.
Sure.
But then I started getting messages like, what do you think of my penis? And I'd be like, don't send me this. And they'd be like, is it small? And then I was like, wait a minute. So then I kept a few going. They all wanted small penis humiliation from me. They wanted me to be like, how dare you send me a dick pic with that small little disgusting little worm that can't even fuck anything. They wanted that. They were trying to get topped for free in my inbox. I was so pissed.
Yep. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Going back to TikTok though.
What?
Oh, I was going to say, going back to TikTok though, we did an episode where we just reviewed kinky TikToks. It was the hardest thing to do because kink talk or kinky AF or kink, anything labeled kink, you can't actually search for on TikTok. Like you can search for it and it'll show 500 million views or something for that tag, but they won't show you anything because they've literally hidden it all. So such a hard. And then meanwhile, like Christopher, my partner, is like, is there like sexy muscle guys? So I typed in like muscle gay, and you have these people with like barely legal for the apps like guidelines, just spinning around in the shower and like talking about douching and being a gay and like, which, get your coin girl, but like that's allowed. Like the 12-year-olds in their bikinis dancing to like WAP is allowed. But someone who is like trying to teach about kinky sex, but in a super positive way, fully clothed. Literally the day after we did that, I had one of my TikToks was deleted for breaking community guidelines. Was literally me in a sweatshirt and pants with a little like flogger from wish.com being really silly, being like, I'm a top to the camera. And Christopher off screen just goes, I'm so annoyed or something like that.
Right.
And it was deleted because it broke community guidelines for just going like this to the camera and like being like,
I realized like showing any tool, anything like that, they're like, nope. And I'm like, this the little thing, you really are going to shut down my shit for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
Well done, Rachel.
Yay.
I'm just anyway, thanks for having me. I don't want to take over your
yeah,
no, it's really good to see you.
Everyone, watch the safe word. Watch the safe word. Totally.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Alrighty.
Bye.
So I wanted to say something because, we were talking about the kink community, what we were talking about before Pup came on. I want to clear something up and give you a big ass caveat. The kink community is not necessarily safe. And I'm going to put it in a way where like a lot of people learn about kink and they learn about the great communication that people have. And, oh my God, there's negotiation. You get references and you start to think falsely like I am safer in this community than I am in, let's say, vanilla dating. No, humans will be humans. There are assholes and predators in the kink community, in the poly community, in the vanilla community, in every community. And the thing about kink is, if you're a good dominant, okay, and I was actually talking about this the other day, like I classify kink into two separate disciplines, I guess. Like there's execution, so like teach me how to flog, how to do the things, like the technical skill. And then there is strategy, which is not only the negotiation and the theory and the planning, a lot of stuff that we're talking about right now, like this sort of like heady cerebral stuff. It's also the psychological tricks, I guess you need to know as a dominant to mind fuck your submissive, to get into their head, that sort of thing. And in order to be a good dominant, you need to know how to do that. However, that is a very dangerous thing. If you use those things for good, it can be a great experience. But if you use those things for your own manipulation and your own advantage, it can be a very bad experience. And I often will see it's the cis straight men who are dominant tend to be the biggest offenders of this. So I'm just going to put that caveat out there that especially if you are someone who is going to play with a cis straight man who is dominant, do your homework, get your references, look for those red flags. It's just like you see the memes about the feminist guys who have learned all the feminist lingo. So they sound like I'm so sex positive and I know about oppression but they're actually using that lingo to manipulate and hide the fact that they're a predator. That can also happen in the kink community. So don't think it's a utopia.
Does happen in the
kink
community.
Does. Don't think that it's a utopia because we all communicate better and overall we're more mentally well-adjusted than our vanilla counterparts. There are still assholes in the kink community. So I'm throwing that out there because that's super important. I'm just going to look at the chat real quick. Thanks, Pop. Do you get the anonymous stranger that strikes up a conversation with you just out of the blue, and then the conversation quickly changes from, oh, hi, how are you, etc., and they go balls deep with you and you need to be saved by Jesus. I can help you be born again and be saved. I get those people. They usually don't come into my DMs with the, hey, like, you need to be saved by Jesus people are very out in public. Like, they're just like, they start tweeting me like, this is horrible, God says. They post all over my page. The hey people, okay, the people that slide into my DMs with hey, hi, whatever, that are, I want to ask us, and then it leads to, I have a question about sex. They are really trying to get me to talk sexy with them. And it's like they're on like the slow burn of like, I'm just gonna say hi, and then I'm gonna have a little conversation, and then I'm dick pic, here's my dick, or whatever, or something. They say something really crass, and so I have tended to, cis straight men, I'm putting you on blast. I over scrutinize you because most of the time when I get that hey, that's exactly what it's like. In 3, 2, 1, dick pic, like it's. So I tend to ignore people. So if you really have a legit question or you want to hire me for coaching or something, and you approach me with, hey, I will probably blow you off and never know that you actually were legit. So don't approach me with, hey. So there. Hi, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Hey.
Hey. Oh, no.
See, stuff like that, I just find humorous, like where if you could write it down on a piece of paper, this is what's going to happen, and pass it to somebody, and it would just go, right down the line.
Yep.
That's funny to me. So, I don't do Facebook very often or anything like that, but the couple of times that I have spoke my mind, I've gotten a couple of those. You need Jesus in your life, and I always just go along with it for a little while because everybody should believe in what they want to, and believe in whatever it is you want. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh God. People are just, I get a lot, because I talk a lot about politics because I believe that the personal is political, and, sexual freedom has everything to do with politics. You can't separate them. And I will get the people that come up, like I'll get the random Trump supporter that wants to learn how to give better blowjobs coming up on my page. And then they see the political, and they're just like, oh, I just want to know about sex. Like, why are you talking about politics? And they get all, and I'm like, honey, no. Like, there are plenty other people. If you don't like what I have to say, move on along. Look at my shirt. There we go. It's very clear what I'm all about. Suddenly our viewer count drops.
I'm just passive aggressive about shit like that. Like, I'll be like, well, hey, if you like presidents that just, grab you by the pussy whenever, go for it. And you get the, fuck you.
Yep. So really quick, we're going to wrap up because we got about a minute left. I would love to know from y'all whether it's right here in the chat, Ruben and Sherry, whether it's right here in the chat or like send me a message later or something. Let me know if you like these discussions because we have 80 gazillion more BDSM questions. Not to do this a third time, like we can do that. Hi, Ruben, how are you?
Hey, Sonny. Hey, Ken. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were just, I was trying to connect before you started talking. You want me to jump off so you can finish?
Whatever. Sure. I'll
jump off. I'll jump off.
Party. Okay. So, yeah, let me know if you like this format of just kind of like the Q&A sort of thing. I kind of like it, and there's a lot more we haven't addressed. And yeah, tune in to this week's podcast. We talked about what is kink. Last week's podcast, CBT. The podcast before that, Marla Renee Stewart on flirting. It was so good. Those 2 episodes with Marla. I love both of them. They're fucking
Waffles,
amazing.
did you see Pup Amp was on?
So we'll be back next week, same time, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Like I said, please visit us. I will paste the links there again. Visit Ken on Twitch, visit our different places, go visit me on TikTok. Who knows what the hell's going to, before I get kicked off.
And visit me on Twitch tomorrow night specifically. We are at Team Pirate, and I think there's going to be a little bit of revenge of the revenge going on. So take a look tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, twitch.tv/ThunderpantsRPG.
Awesome. Cool. Bye, everyone. We'll see you Wednesday night. Oh, and by the way, hold on. Wait. Don't go anywhere. Okay? Well, this is important. If you're on Get Vocal, we're going to stay here. We're just stopping the recording. If you're not on Get Vocal, if you're on Periscope, YouTube, or Facebook, now is your chance. Get your butts over to Get Vocal. Link should be right above. And if you don't see a link, it's bit.ly, bit.ly/ASP for American Sex Podcast Stream. So bit.ly, ASP stream. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So come on over. We're going to after party. This is where things get weird. Who knows what we're going to talk about? And
yes, Maurice, I can.
Okay. And we'll see you. Let's after party. Bye, everyone.
Bye.